Merry Christmas Light. We know this is an important religious feast, but it always, in our practice, takes second place behind Christmas. This is the more important feast, but Christmas is for kids. And it's easy to take and capture the reality of Christmas in such a way that children can relate to it. Easter, it's a lot more difficult. Birth of a baby, fine. The meaning of the resurrection, takes some serious reflection. Easter, we have all kinds of symbols, wonderful symbols. The Paschal candle that we blessed last night at the vigil. The waters of baptism that we blessed last night at the vigil. 3-hour and 10-minute vigil. And I don't know how many of you wimps bothered to show up. No, I'm kidding. We don't do a real good job of capturing Easter. Baskets, rabbits, chocolate eggs. How do we tie that for our kids in with the resurrection? If you've come up with an explanation that brings the two together, more than just, well, the cross was brown and chocolate is brown, so therefore, then good for you. We're not really even sure what it means. Well, let me explain to you a little bit what Easter means. One of the difficulties that I'm having after years of preaching is that I'm discovering time is not standing still for me. And so a lot of the things that I use as images, I'm finding that more and more people don't get. Younger folks look at me and just kind of go, what? So, some of you may recognize this, and I'm sorry in the back if you can't see it real clearly. I couldn't get these blown up any bigger. But some of you may recognize, if you're of a certain age, but many of you probably don't recognize the Good Housekeeping seal of approval. Okay? If you know what this is, if this is something that you can relate to in your childhood, congratulations, you're old. If not that one, then maybe some of you younger folks can recognize the Krusty Brand seal of approval. Some of you might be more familiar with that. It says, it's not just good, it's good enough. Kind of the way that Krusty the Clown tends to operate. Okay, so we have these seals of approval. Let me show you God's seal of approval. We tend to think that it must be the cross. Can one of you ushers go get the other cordless mic for me, please? We might tend to think that the cross is God's sign. We see crosses all over the place. With you. We wear crosses around our neck. We have jewelry. The cross is not God's seal of approval. Sometimes we have to remember what the cross really is. And one of the best ways that I heard it explained was many, many years ago, a comedian said, it's a good thing that Jesus didn't come in the 20th century where there'd be all kinds of Christians walking around with little electric chairs around their neck. That's what the cross is. Symbol of execution, symbol of torture, symbol of cruelty. This is Father Len's mic, so if I sound short or funny. God's seal of approval. This is why we're here today. This is why our whole faith revolves around the cross, yes, but more importantly, the empty tomb. Jesus taught us so many things, but lots of people didn't want to hear what he was teaching. They felt the need to shut him up. And so they put him to death. And they thought they had won. That was it. And God said, excuse me, I haven't had the last word yet, and I always get the last word. And then God showed the power of his love. And in doing so, in the resurrection, God said, this is my seal of approval on everything that Jesus tried to teach you, on everything that Jesus was about. And because of this resurrection, you can believe. You can have hope. And without it, you have no reason to listen to what Jesus said. Remember the poem. I share this with folks from time to time, and if there is anything that people remember that I say, and quote it back to me years later, it's this. Roses are reddish, violets are bluish, If it wasn't for Easter, we'd all be Jewish. The resurrection makes all the difference. We can believe in what Christ taught us. We can try to follow what Christ taught us. Oh, well, I'm sorry, I didn't show it to you. Okay, thank you. But this doesn't really do justice. It's nice, but it's kind of stylized and static and all of that. So, what if we had a more dynamic way of expressing it? And we do. This is cool. I love this. Here's God's seal of approval. That's Easter! God works. God rules. God, if we allow him, will blow our doors off, will give us life, will bring us healing, peace, hope, all of those things. This is God saying, hey, take Jesus' message to heart. Live his life. Follow his way, because he's right. My love is more powerful than death, or hate, or suffering, or rejection and betrayal, or any of the other evils that Jesus suffered. God says, I get the last word. And that word will always be love. So, a way of remembering some of Jesus' teachings. You are the salt of the earth, the light of the world, living witnesses to something more. You can obey the law because you are free in love. You can be last because you are already first. You can forgive another because you are already forgiven. You can love God with your whole heart and soul and mind because he has already loved you first and best in his Son. You who are slapped on the cheek, robbed of your shirt, or imposed upon to spend time with someone, rejoice. There is something more. You who love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you, know that your Lord sees you and offers you something more. You who fast and sacrifice out of love, who criticize yourself instead of others, ask and you shall receive. Seek and you shall find. Knock and the door will be open to you. Your faith has assured you of something more. You are not dead, only sleeping. You can see, hear, feel, walk. You can carry his light and love and message into a dark and frightened world. You can go to the war-torn, the bereaved, the powerless, the sick, the paranoid, the suffering, the oppressed, the empty, the doubtful, the busy, the self-obsessed, the young, the old, the in-between, and tell them there is something more. You are worth more than many sparrows. You are my something more than temples. You are good soil that will bear grain. You are the pearl of great price. You are the mustard seed. The age of miracles has not ended. You who have become like little children, and you who are indeed your brother's keeper, have already experienced something more. Wherever 2 or 3 come together in his name, he is there. You who have given up families of your own for his sake, there is something more. You who forgive your husband's or wife's failures have felt it. You who give all you own to the poor and followed him have found something more. There is something more than what you will eat or drink, where you will lay your head or take your vacation, what grade you will get, or how much after taxes. Something more than the cares and crosses of today or yesterday or tomorrow. Something more than Good Friday and hospitals and mortuaries and cemeteries. Something even more than prayer or faith or hope. Something more that is love, who is Lord, who is risen. We have God's seal of approval on it.